Posting VAT invoices requires a very specific process, which I'll walk you through in this video. We are going to use demonstration data that is UK-specific, that may not be the same configuration or labels as you have in your production environment. However, the process is the same. So let's dive in and resolve some VAT-only mysteries. We won't cover the basics of creating a journal. If you need help on this, search the rest of the channel for videos on general journal basics, or purchase invoice basics, to get you started. The scenario we'll use is the receipt of an invoice from our deep sea shipping company for EU import VAT, managed via our deferment account. The shipping company has provided the invoice, and we must put the full value through our VAT ledger as input VAT. So, we have an invoice for £1,000, all of which must be reclaimed as input VAT. The invoice has no base amount, only VAT. Let's create a quick invoice header, and I'll turn my totals to exclude VAT, which is just my preference. On the line, I'll select my shipping supplier and fill in the usual fields and credit value. Our offset account needs to be our input VAT control account. This is unusual, and some configurations are locked to prevent this. However, on this occasion, because we are only posting pure VAT and not a base amount, it is perfectly correct to post directly to the control account. If, in your system, the account is locked for journal entry, you will need to remove this flag before proceeding. I'll pick the VAT payable account, and a host of dimensions. Most systems would not have dimension validation on this account, but the demo system forces some entry points here. Just a quick word on terminology. In the demo system, VAT payable is equated to input VAT, and VAT receivable is output VAT. Your terminology may be different. Select your account for purchase input VAT, which is the VAT you are reclaiming on your return. On my system, the VAT group defaults from the supplier, and the item VAT group defaults from system parameters. In this case, full mean standard 20% VAT rate for domestic UK purchases. If we look in the footer, we'll see that Dynamics has calculated £200 VAT on our £1,000 net amount, which, given the settings, is correct. However, we want the VAT to be 1,000, not 200. To override this, we need to go to the General tab page. Here, we see the other hidden field, the VAT code. Normally, Dynamics works this out as a matrix from the other two fields, the group and the item group. However, in this unusual scenario, we need to override the default calculation. Select the VAT code field and apply a value. In my system, I've created a code called VO. It has no other configuration other than a name. I'll select this one. Now, notice what happens immediately to the calculated VAT amount. It is now our required value. Selecting the VAT code directly forces Dynamics to treat all of the voucher amount as VAT. Now, strangely, it doesn't actually matter which code you pick. Try picking another value from the list. I'll pick the 5% code in the demo system. Nothing changes. Simply, the fact that you pick a VAT code directly is enough. In your system, if you don't have a separate code for VAT-only amounts, I would recommend you create one, as it makes things easier to identify on reports later. But if you want to proceed anyway, pick the standard code for now, the VAT will still be handled correctly. Back on the list view, we can check the VAT calculation another way via the VAT function here. The important point is that it records the amount origin, or base amount, as 0, and, despite showing 20% as the VAT rate, the actual VAT amount is correctly represented as 1,000. Let me just put back my VO value for clarity. Now, the VAT rate is 0 and the actual amount is 1,000. Perfect. Some administrators like to configure the VO code with 100% as its value, which I understand, but it is not necessary and has no impact on the maths. Okay, let's post the transaction now, and then we'll move on to take a look at the resulting voucher and VAT entries. From within the posted journal, we can check the two key elements. First, let's go to the voucher in the journal. This confirms that accounts payable control has received the credit and our VAT payable account has received the debit. Now from here, we can navigate to the VAT ledger entry. We see our VAT code, which is a useful filter for future reporting when we are trying to find these entries amongst thousands of others. We can also see that the amount origin, or base amount, is 0, and the VAT amount is correctly recorded as the full invoice value of £1,000. Let's just summarize what we've done. In this short video, we've looked at one very specific example of an EU import invoice, that is all VAT, and no base amount. In your own day-to-day world, you may have other similar scenarios, but the key technique here should apply. The two key things to take away are: 1. It is okay to post directly to the VAT control account, but you might need to remove this restriction on the account. And 2. Use the VAT code to force Dynamics to treat the value as all VAT. This will override the normal group and item group default calculation. Remember, it is not necessary to have a dedicated code, but I'd recommend one for reporting. Finally, these are not transactions we do every day, so please do practice in your sandbox environment first, to make sure the results are as you expect. Thanks for watching this one. Be sure to check out the rest of the channel for more hints, tips, and best practice processes in Dynamics.